morning, everyone. I was reading this magazine called Ami Magazine. There's letters to the rabbi, certain Rabbi Taub. And this father writes a heartbreaking letter to Rabbi Taub. He says, my son was in a yeshiva, and in 11th grade, he was causing trouble. He wasn't following the rules. They kicked him out of the yeshiva. He says, 3 years later, my son is 19. He's doing okay. He's holding down a nice job, but he's completely not religious anymore. He gave up Yiddishkeit. And the father said, I'm carrying a lot of anger towards the principal of the school. He said, I'm not angry why he kicked my son out of the yeshiva, because my son was breaking the rules. Maybe he had no choice. He had to kick him out. But he said, what I'm so upset about is that it's 3 years that my son has been out of the yeshiva. The rabbi from the yeshiva never called my son once to see how he's doing. There's a quote that says that forgiveness is giving a person the space to become the type of person that would have never committed the offense in the first place. What do you do when a person fails in life? When a person succumbs to wrongdoing, they disappoint you, they offend you. How do you deal with someone else's failures? How do you forgive a person? So the ultimate example of forgiveness is in this week's parsha. Moshe Rabbeinu goes to get the Torah. 40 days later, he comes down with the tablets. And after the giving of the Torah on Mount Sinai, and the Jews are worshiping the golden calf. There could be no greater sin. It's the ultimate sin, because it's the ultimate betrayal. They just got the Torah from Hashem at Mount Sinai after all the miracles God performed, and now they're breaking the first and second commandment to the 10 commandments, not to have any other God. And they're dancing around the golden calf. And the verse says, Vayihi mimachmas, the very next morning, Moshe says to the people, you committed a grave sin, but now let me go up to God and beg for forgiveness. And when he goes up to heaven, it says Moshe returns to God, and he says, you know, the people sinned, and they made a golden calf. So Rashi wonders, why is he repeating the sin? He wants to ask for forgiveness. Why is he emphasizing they made a golden calf? We know they made a golden calf. That's why he's asking for forgiveness. Does he have to explicitly mention the sin? Why bring it up again? And Rashi says something unbelievable. Rashi says that these words, they made a golden calf, was Moshe's first line of defense to protect and defend the Jews. Like a good defense attorney, Moshe came up with his first defense. You know what his defense was? This is what Rashi says. He says, God, you know what? Yeah, they made a golden calf. But you know what? And I'm going to quote Rashi, Ata garamte, you caused it. It's your fault. Why is it God's fault? Because when they left Egypt, you told them to go take all the gold from their Egyptian neighbors. And Rashi says, you know what it's like? It's like a father takes his son, he spiffs him up with beautiful clothing and nice perfumes and beautiful smelling fragrances, puts a bag of money around his chest, you know, a bag of gold coins, and he puts him on the steps of a house of ill repute. And then the father finds out his son sinned compromised himself. Who does the father have to blame? Himself. You set your son up for this failure. And that's a lesson in itself about overindulging our children. But what's Moshe saying to God? God, if you would not have given them all this gold, maybe they would not have sinned. You gave them so much gold. That's what it led to. This was the first line of defense. Now we know that blaming others for your mistakes is never a good idea. Adam tries to blame Eve. He says, oh God, the woman you gave me, she gave me the fruit. And that's why I ate from it. That didn't work out well for Adam. He got kicked out of Gan Eden. So why is Moshe Rabbeinu trying to turn the tables and say it's your fault? So the answer is Adam ate from the fruit. So he's defending himself. But Moshe Rabbeinu didn't worship the golden calf. He's not defending himself, he's defending others. And here we learn a powerful lesson. When it comes to defending others, you do everything you can to try to find merit, to try to find some saving grace in a person. And when a person sins, they need people who love them and support them to get them through the failure. Moshe Rabbeinu shows us what you do when someone else makes a mistake. You don't kick them when they're down. Someone said friends are people who walk in when everyone else walks out. You love them, and the name of the parsha is Kisisa. You elevate them, you raise them back up. They're on the floor, they're on the ground. Kisisa, raise them back up. And with love, and with patience, and with tolerance, and with respect, and giving them the time and the space they need to transform themselves, they could become the person that would have never committed the sin in the first place. So Moshe Rabbeinu teaches us a very powerful lesson. Moshe Rabbeinu succeeds in getting forgiveness. A, we should forgive. We should allow people to change. But B, we should show them the love and the support they need to be able to become the new person they want to become. I told you the story in the beginning about this father who said, my son, the rabbi never called him to see how he's doing. That I can't forgive. You have to kick a kid out of yeshiva, but still show him love, help him change for the better. There's a true story told about a rich man who was completely irreligious, but he gave a lot of money to yeshivas. Now there's another story about Rav Kahneman from the Panovich yeshiva. He once came to a rich man in America and he said, I want money for a yeshiva. He said, I'll give you a large check on one condition, that the kids in the yeshiva don't wear yarmulkes or have tzitzis or payas. Rav Kahneman said, no problem. He took a large check, he went back to Israel, he opened up a girls' yeshiva for them. But there's a true story about a rich man in America who would give a lot of money for yeshivas, but he was not religious. And so why would you give money for yeshivas? If you're not religious, you don't seem to believe in Yiddishkeit. He said, I'll tell you why. He says, I was a student in the yeshiva, the Chafetz Chaim, Rabbi Israel Meir Kagan and Radin. I was a terrible boy. I was making trouble. I was breaking all the rules. And one time they caught me smoking on Shabbos. The Chafetz Chaim himself called me in and said, we have to kick you out of the yeshiva. You've crossed all the lines. Smoking on Shabbos, you have to pack your bags and leave. And he said, go to the dormitory, take your stuff and leave. But as I was walking out, he said, where are you going to stay tonight? I said, I don't know. I'm from another town. I came here to learn in the yeshiva. He says, pack your bags and you'll come be my guest to sleep in my house tonight. He took me into his house. It was a cold night in Poland. I went into a room. He gave me a bed and a mattress and a pillow and a little blanket. In the middle of the night, it was cold. I was twisting and turning with my blanket. And in the middle of the night, the Chafetz Chaim came to check on me. And he saw that I was cold. And he took off his heavy coat and he put it over me gently. And he said, till today, when I think of that, I feel warm inside. When I think of the love that the Chafetz Chaim showed me. He said, I'm not religious, but I have such a respect and a love for Torah and for those who learn Torah that I support yeshivot. Sometimes people may do things and maybe disappoint us and maybe commit, do acts that are inappropriate. But we have to show them the love. And with the love, we will always bring them back. And like Moshe Rabbeinu was able to atone, beg for forgiveness, and Hashem grants it. And the name of the parsha is Kisisa, raise up another person. Sometimes the nature of society or people is when someone made a mistake, we kick them, we speak Lashon Hara, we badmouth them, we shame them. No, Kisisa, do what Moshe Rabbeinu did, raise the Jewish people back up, not only to the former heights, but even to greater and greater heights.